the public interest community, working on an Echoing Green Fellowship to bring the ADA to the World of Homeless Services, and was battling with Social Security. The irony of the Social Security application process is that if you are together enough to be able to get through the application process, you don't qualify for the benefit. You can hold down a job, right? I mean, it's so crazy. But the same things were happening on local benefits. The general assistance benefits, the CalWorks benefits, they all had additional red tape, hoops to jump through, that people with significant disabilities really couldn't access the safety net that was supposed to be there, especially for them. And when the city of San Francisco was sued because it hadn't implemented its ADA transition plan and self-evaluation, I was invited to take a job in the newly created Mayor's Office on Disability and decided to try working from the inside for a while.
Great. And Dolly, you talked about working for the Social Security Administration. Now you're a private practitioner. Did you always go into it with the intent of becoming a private practitioner?
I didn't go into this. I had no idea what I was going to be doing. And I just want to get a survey. What year are you guys in general? Are you guys second years, third year? Second and third years? Or first years? I just want to say that I don't know, some people go in and they're more mature, they're older. Some people go in pretty much straight from college or a couple of years out. And I have to say that if you go in and you might not necessarily come out the other end where you started and where you thought you'd be, and that's okay, okay? Seriously, that's okay. You may be in a lot of debt. You may have to pay off your loans. And you know what? That's okay too. Don't beat yourself up. I know second year is, well, at least back in the old days when I was in law school, second year was the year. I was fortunate enough to be in a good economy when I was graduating, and there were lots of recruiters, and you kind of had to hustle, get your summer internships, and go for the gold. So I did it. I was a go-getter. I am a go-getter, but I was a East Coast go-getter, which is a little more scary. And I applied, and I got 2 clerkships, some 2 biggies. I got a state one in Virginia. I'm from Virginia. I went to William & Mary, and I went to DC for law school. And then I got a federal clerkship. I did, because that's what you did. You followed the path to the money, or to the prestige, or to the thing that you knew that you were going to definitely do when you went into law school. Rah, rah, rah. And sometimes life changes, and things change, and opportunities change, and the economy changes. And when you first get out, you know, it may not look like what you thought it was going to look like, and that's okay. I actually quit my jobs and moved to San Francisco because I decided that I'd already taken and passed the Virginia bar, which, by the way, it's the only bar in the country where you have to wear a suit to take the bar. I am not kidding you. It's a 2-day bar, and if you're not dressed appropriately, and before the 90s, women appropriately was a skirt and no pants. I mean, look, skirt. In Virginia, and they would turn you away, just a little note. So when you're piddling through the California bar, at least you get to wear sweats. You know, but I decided this isn't what I wanted my life to be. I had an opportunity to move out west, and I did, and I didn't know what I was going to do. I had the Virginia bar. I knew I was a plaintiff's side liberal gal. I'd gone in and done a lot of feminism work, a lot of women in the law work. And I didn't want to take the California bar. I'm being very honest. I was always a liberal, bleeding heart go-getter, and I still am. But I came out of here without a plan. And my plan was just to get a job. This is really how it happened. And I fell into it. I did. I'm being very honest. I fell into it. It was a federal job. I didn't have to take the California bar. And I did very well in law school. It's good to do well. If you do well in law school, then that will carry. And that will speak volumes. And it did out here, and I got a job with the Social Security Administration. And at first I thought, oh my God, this is so tedious. I'm gonna blow my brains out. And you know, I need to get back to what I thought I was gonna do. I need to go do my women's rights stuff. And then I started realizing as I went through all this stuff that there were very few attorneys who did it. There were even fewer who did it well. And I found myself pulling things out of the file and writing memos to judges going, are you sure you want to deny this case? Because I found this and this and this. And by the end, they were starting to call me a little uppity. And because all I would do is advocate for the client. And that was where my heart was. And I realized, hell, I can do this better. I could do this. And so after 3 years, I quit. I took the California bar. I did a little temp work. And I started my own law practice. But you know, I didn't know that that was where I was going to end up. But if you have a passion, you know, you'll find it. Don't freak out if you graduate without a job that is exactly what you thought you were going to do when you started. You will end up there. If you're passionate enough about it, you'll end up there. Don't beat yourself up. And I think disability advocacy is amazing. I am so passionate about it. You can't shut me up about it. Seriously, my sister won't even go out for cocktails with me and another woman because she doesn't want to hear it, because I have a lot of disability friends. I still have friends in Social Security, and yeah, man, we could talk for hours, and the drunker we get, the more we talk about it. So,
well, I will have to stop you right there.
Okay.
But I appreciate your passion, so let me move on to the next question about what kind of initiatives you're currently working on in San Francisco.
So, you know, in many ways, I would be happy to just ask if there are areas of interest here, because there's so many different things we're working on. I can throw out a few, and you guys can tell me if any of them, you know, resonate.
I have one.
Yeah.
I'm actually currently working in the Women Employment Rights Clinic, and Marcy Seville is working extensively on the Worker Bill of Rights, the Domestic Workers Bill of Rights, and they've been talking about how the disability community is in a lot of ways fighting it because of how it's two really low-income areas where, you know, you can't satisfy both equally. So I'm just curious, you know, what are you guys doing? What issues are you facing with that?
So this just to sort of set the broader stage around this is about the right of people with disabilities to live in the community instead of in an institution. And the 1999 Olmstead Supreme Court decision said that if a person with a disability wants to live in a community and their doctors say that it is possible for them to live in the community, they cannot be kept in an institution. It's one of the fundamental tenets of civil rights laws, right? You don't segregate. The challenge for people with disabilities is that, especially when your disability is quite severe, you may get Social Security disability benefits, but you also need assistance to be able to live safely and independently in your home. You need a care worker to be helping. With very low-income people, in-home support services is a government program that pays for workers to come in for certain hours a month. That's under attack in our current budget. It's something that I'm hoping that Disability Rights California is going to successfully sue about, because it's a violation of the ADA to cut those hours. But where you get into trouble is where you have higher income people who are working, but who may not be earning a lot of money and who can't afford to pay really high wages. And so that's the tension. In San Francisco, we have really, and I want to just be very clear about, I mean, I talk about the Mod Squad because we're 7 people, but we work with many disability organizations in the community, and everybody is on the same team. But there are tensions, and we have worked to make sure that in-home support service workers get higher pay and better benefits in San Francisco, and that's rippled out through the rest of the state, to try and set that standard. our office is, because in the private, we don't really interfere with the private sector, we just with the public sector, but our sort of tentative position and role here is to say, we believe that well-paid workers are good not only for the workers, but for the person who's hired them, the person with the disability. And that gives you more stability, it gives you higher quality folks. The challenge is to find resources to help pay for that. And before the budget crisis, we were doing that. There are these programs called Share Plus programs, so that you pay most of what you can pay, and then the government chips in a little bit more depending on what your income level is. So someone who's earning $100,000 isn't going to get any help from the government unless their expenses are $60,000 a year. So that's the only area that we have been active in.
Yeah, because I know it's different with, the public and the private, because public, the government's taking care of that sector of workers, and it's a lot different than how it is for the private sector with the workers, and how, because I know Marcy's talked a little bit about it in our class and in the clinic, with how there's so many people that they want that good quality care, but it's like you don't want to hurt the workers who are earning below minimum wage, working 24-hour shifts. So it's like, how do you balance it?
And one of the things that I think we need to all be talking about is that when we talk about jobs creation, care workers are an enormous source of job creation. As the entire population ages, as people with disabilities are able to live longer, as we are able to stay in the community, there's a greater need for folks who are able to help keep us in the community. And we need to be doing, stimulus act for care workers, as well as for, I certainly support the Stimulus Act for